Alright everyone, we are back after a bit of an extended hiatus. We'll talk about why that was at the end of the video because you are most likely here to see my review of Semiosis by Sue Burke. Now, I think this is going to be my first science fiction review on the channel, and honestly I'm shocked it took me this long because I love science fiction. I think when we're talking science fiction, there's roughly like 3 categories that you can split sci-fi stories into, and this is kind of a tangent, my bad. But there's like the haven't left Earth, but things are moving along type of stories. Then there's like first steps. Then there's like a galaxy-wide type of story like Star Wars or Foundation. And this book fits into the middle category because it follows a colony of humans that land in another solar system on the planet Pax, which makes them the pacifists because Pax means peace. You know what I'm saying? Like, so from here on out, there will be spoilers in the review. So skip to a point in time I'm gonna put on the screen here if you do not want to have this book spoiled, but I'm going to just get into talking about what's going on in this story. First off, I want to say that I really enjoyed the method of narration in this book. It is first person with perspective switching, and I'm a huge fan of that style. So this story takes place over more than 100 years, and is really all about the relationship of the pacifists with the dominant native life form on Pax, which is a hyper-evolved and ultra-intelligent form of bamboo. They named the bamboo Stevland. I think he's male. I don't know. I'm gonna use he and it pronouns. Who fucking cares? Stevlin can perceive the colonists via sight and sound, but he can't really communicate with them except through like changing the pigmentation of its bamboo at a certain point. So the relationship of the pacifist and Stevlin is pretty up and down. I don't ever think Stevlin is like truly in danger at any point because the very first thing he does is get all of the colonists addicted to a fruit that he produces, which player shit, man. It's a nice little story point. Because there are 6 or 7 different human narrators, and it's over a very long period of time, I would say Stevlin is probably the main character of this book, and he's occasionally a narrator, and he honestly helps run the tribe for a good part of it. And as his relationships with humans develop, he begins to get more human. So this story is not just about humans' relationship with Stevland, it's also about discovering the mystery of intelligent beings that were on the planet before them, who the humans come to call the Glassmakers, because these beings built a city, abandoned it, and it's made out of beautiful glass. So while they have this kind of like relationship building with Stevland, that eventually takes a back seat to figuring out the mystery of the Glassmakers. So in the second half of the story, they find an isolated tribe of these Glassmakers, giant bug aliens with their own language, who have regressed to the point of being like nearly feral, and this begins their relationship with the Glassmakers, who eventually split into 2 factions: those that are kidnapped by the humans and then eventually coerced / persuaded to join their side and like work together, and then ones who are not captured by the humans who eventually come back and wage war. So the book's climax is essentially biological warfare between the enemy tribe of Glassmakers, who wield fire to try to burn down part of Stevland, and the pacifists, who are now like humans, Glassmakers, and Stevland. So there may be some other things I could discuss about the story within the spoiler section, but I don't really want to get too deep into any individual story part because it kind of feels like being out in the weeds. So the spoiler section is done. Now let's talk about what I liked about the story. The perspective switching and narrative, very convincing, very well done. I've done a bit of writing myself, which by the way, I'm cooked if the rough drafts ever hit the internet, and this is not something I'm great at. So shout out to Sue Burke for being able to write in the voice of like 7 different characters and actually making it good. 2 of them in particular, Tatiana and Higgins, they were like standout favorites for me, especially Tatiana's part. Like, damn, that was a good chapter. Also want to praise this book for the range of domains that it effectively addresses. So this is a science fiction book, but there's commentary on the nature of law and order, communal living, semiotics, sociology, like ton of stuff being talked about in this book. And the way that Burke is able to talk about all these things in the relatively small text that is Semiosis is dope. In addition, man, this book's just good. Like, once I got to part 3 or so, I was pretty hooked. I was like actively looking forward to my lunch break every day so that I could read this. The story was compelling, enjoyed it, would overall recommend. There were a couple things I didn't necessarily love. I think I've said it before, but I am a big endings guy. The resolution of a story is really important to me, and this story kind of ends with a whimper, which, oh well, not a huge deal, but I like a nice ending. The downside of a book that goes across so many protagonists means that you never get as like emotionally connected to each one. So if there is a somewhat emotionally like unsatisfying ending, and that's the price I pay for getting to experience perspective switching, I am happy to pay that price. Okay, so this next bit might be a bit of a spoiler, so skip like 30 seconds or whatever. If you're 5 minutes in, I bet you don't care though. I didn't like how Stevlin became more human as the story went on. He went from this truly like alien intelligence to kind of just another human, but like lacking a physical body and like kind of planty. I didn't enjoy how he could just like grow roots and now suddenly he has humor or like shame or like pride. Like, I don't know. That didn't seem right to me. So last criticism, I wish the plot about the glassmakers and Stevlin's plot had been woven together a little more effectively. Because by the time we encounter the glassmakers, like Stevlin's plot is over. He's pretty much just like on the pacifist side. They're working together. So, alright, final thoughts. This book bangs. It's pretty short. It's 2 sequels. Even though I'm pretty caught up in The Expanse right now, I could definitely see myself reading at least the next book. Is this like a top 10 sci-fi book of all time? I would say probably not, but it is a solid read and it is very enjoyable. Like, deserves a place on my shelf. So, that's my review of Semiosis. A couple other things. I want to apologize for the absence. As you can probably see, I moved recently. New digs. But I have been reading. Don't worry. I did read a book about Liberian history. That will not be making it on the channel, because frankly, I have nothing to say about Liberian history. Like, I could just recap the book and tell you things I learned about Liberian history, but I'm not going to give my opinion because that's all I know. Anyway, that not making it on the channel, but I do have a review that I'm writing right now about Leviathan Wakes, which is part of the Expanse series, and that's going to be dropping hopefully in the next couple weeks. So I'm going to be traveling, which is always good for the amount that I read, but it's not really conducive to filming book reviews, so maybe you'll get it soon, maybe not. I don't think anyone really cares. So yeah, that's where I'm at. But thank you for tuning in, and catch you later.